Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today is a truly beautiful day outside, but honestly, my heart is just incredibly heavy right now as I sit down to talk to you all. I've been trying to wrap my mind around the latest events in Genoa City, and it's just so overwhelming. Let's just take a deep breath together and dive right into this devastating tragedy. I can't even begin to fully articulate the profound sense of sorrow I feel right now for Jack Abbott. It's like watching a train wreck in extreme slow motion, and no matter how much you want to scream at the screen to warn him, you just can't stop the inevitable collision. We all knew Diane Jenkins was trouble. We always knew it deep down in our bones, didn't we? But this is a level of calculated cruelty that I don't think anyone, not even her harshest critics, could have fully anticipated. I find myself just staring blankly, trying to process the sheer magnitude of what she has accomplished. She hasn't just broken Jack's heart or damaged his bank account. She has systematically, surgically dismantled his entire existence, his legacy, his very identity. It really makes you wonder about the nature of love, or at least, what Jack thought was love. I mean, how many times have we watched Jack defend Diane against everyone? Against his sisters, against his son, against his closest friends. He stood there like a knight in shining armor, completely blind to the fact that the dragon he was fighting off was actually the woman standing right behind him, holding a dagger to his back. It breaks my heart to think about how fiercely he protected her. He alienated himself from his own flesh and blood, all because he believed in redemption. He believed that she had changed. And now, the realization of that misplaced faith is it's suffocating. I can almost feel the air leaving his lungs as the truth finally dawns on him. Let's just take a moment to really think about the Abbott mansion. It's not just a house, it's a monument. It's the physical embodiment of John Abbott's love, his hard work, his dedication to his family. Every single wooden panel, every piece of furniture, the grand staircase. It all holds the echoes of decades of Abbott history. The laughter, the tears, the family breakfasts, the dramatic arguments, it's sacred ground. And to think that Diane Jenkins has managed to sink her venomous claws into that sacred ground. It actually makes me feel a little bit nauseous. How could she? How could anyone be so devoid of basic human empathy to steal a family's ancestral home? I keep replaying the sequence of events in my head. It started with that horrific, orchestrated car crash. Diane actually staged an accident and framed Nikki for attempted murder. I remember watching that unfold and thinking, this is a new low, even for Diane. But it was all just a distraction, wasn't it? A brilliant, evil sleight of hand. While everyone was looking at the legal battle and the media circus, while Jack was out there publicly crucifying Nikki on television to defend his wife, Diane was quietly, methodically buying up his debts. She was weaving this invisible, inescapable web right under his nose. And he handed her the scissors to cut his own lifeline. And then we come to the marriage contract, the prenup. I just keep asking myself, how did Jack not see it? He is a brilliant businessman, a titan of industry. How do you sign away the Abbott mansion in a prenup? But then I think about how manipulative Diane is. I can just imagine her, playing the victim, shedding those crocodile tears, making him feel like the contract was just a formality, a symbol of his absolute trust in her. And Jack, in his desperate need to prove his devotion, probably didn't even read the fine print. He signed away his father's legacy with a stroke of a pen, blinded by a toxic illusion of love. It's just so incredibly tragic. So, we arrive at the Genoa City Athletic Club. The scene is just painted so vividly in my mind. Jack is completely ruined. He has just realized that his finances are gone, his reputation is in tatters, the Newman family hates him, his own family is estranged. He is a broken man, stripped of everything that made him Jack Abbott. And where does he go? He goes to the one person who has always, despite their complicated history, understood the deepest parts of his soul, Nikki Newman. I think it's so beautiful, yet so profoundly sad, that in his darkest hour, it was Nikki's arms he sought for comfort. There is such a deep, undeniable history between Jack and Nikki. They have hurt each other. Yes, but they have also loved each other in a way that transcends time and circumstances. When I picture Jack collapsing into Nikki's embrace, I don't see romance. I see the survivors. I see a man who is drowning, clinging to the only life raft he can find. And Nikki, God bless her, she didn't push him away. Despite everything Jack said about her in the media, despite him taking Diane's side during the fake car crash, Nikki just held him. She saw his brokenness and she offered him grace. It's moments like these that remind me why I care so deeply about these characters. But of course, the universe, or rather, Diane Jenkins, couldn't even let him have a single moment of peace. Can you just imagine the sheer, icy terror of that moment? Jack is holding on to Nikki, tears probably streaming down his face, completely vulnerable. And then the doors open, and there she is, Diane. But she isn't alone, is she? No, she walks in flanked by a team of cold, soulless lawyers. I can just see the triumphant, malevolent smirk on her face. It's not the look of a betrayed wife. It's the look of a predator who has finally cornered her prey. I try to put myself in Jack's shoes in that exact second. You look up, expecting to see your wife's anger over finding you with another woman. But instead, you see a firing squad. You see legal documents, you see the eviction notice. I honestly think my heart would have stopped beating. How do you even process that she didn't just come to yell at him? She came to execute him, financially and emotionally. The sheer audacity of Diane to interrupt a moment of genuine human grief with a legal eviction is just, it's beyond words, it's sociopathic. When Diane presented those documents, the clauses hidden deep within the marriage contract. I can only imagine the room spinning for Jack. The realization hitting him like a physical blow to the chest, the Abbott mansion, his home. The place where he grew up, where he raised his children, where he felt closest to his father. Legally transferred to Diane Jenkins, it's a violation on the deepest possible level. It's not just a real estate transaction, it's a hostile takeover of his soul. I feel a genuine ache in my chest just thinking about the absolute despair he must have felt reading those words on paper, and the way Diane delivered the news. I am the legal owner. Those words must have echoed in Jack's mind like a death knell. She didn't just take his money, she took his sanctuary. And to do it right there, in public, in front of Nikki, in front of the lawyers. It was designed to humiliate him, to strip him of whatever tiny shred of dignity he had left. I find myself feeling so incredibly angry on his behalf. I just want to reach through the screen and tear those papers up. But of course, it wouldn't change the legal reality. The trap was sprung perfectly. What really gets to me is the immediate eviction. She didn't give him a month, she didn't give him a week. She brought an immediate eviction order. She forced him out of his ancestral home with nothing but the clothes on his back and the crushing weight of his own foolishness. Imagine Jack Abbott, a man who has always walked with such pride, being escorted out of the Abbott mansion. Not as the patriarch, but as a trespasser. A trespasser in the house his father built. It's Shakespearean in its tragedy. I honestly don't know how a person survives a blow like that. And Diane's declaration that she is going to turn the Abbott mansion into her new headquarters. Oh, that just makes my blood boil. It's a desecration. It's like she is intentionally dancing on John Abbott's grave. She wants to sit in John's chair, at John's desk, and rule her newly stolen empire from the very heart of the family she just destroyed. It's a level of vindictiveness that is almost hard to comprehend. She doesn't just want to win, she wants to obliterate the memory of the Abbotts. She wants to overwrite their history with her own twisted victory. But amidst all this darkness, there is one small, fierce glimmer of hope, Nikki Newman. When I think about Nikki in that moment, witnessing this absolute atrocity, I don't see a woman who is intimidated. I see a matriarch who is gathering her strength. Nikki's vowed to use the full power of the Newman Empire to help Jack get justice. It gave me chills. Because if there is anyone who understands how to fight dirty, if there is anyone who has the resources to take on a monster like Diane, it's the Newmans. I know that Victor and Jack have had their endless wars. But this is different. This is about fundamental survival. And Nikki, despite everything, still loves Jack in her own way. She cannot, and will not, stand by and watch Diane Jenkins destroy a man she cares about and steal his family's legacy. I can just picture Nikki's eyes, flashing with that familiar Newman fire, silently promising Diane that this war is far from over. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be ugly. But I am so here for it. I just keep thinking about Jack's mental state right now. Where does he sleep tonight? How does he look his son in the eye? How does he apologize to his family for not listening to them? The guilt must be absolutely paralyzing. He has to wake up tomorrow morning and realize that this isn't a nightmare. That he really did hand over the keys to the kingdom to the enemy. I hope he finds the strength to keep going. I hope he leans on Nikki, because right now, she might be the only person left in the world who hasn't completely given up on him. It's a lot to process, isn't it? Sometimes, when I watch these storylines unfold, I find myself getting so emotionally invested that I have to remind myself to breathe. The writers have truly crafted a masterpiece of misery here. The slow build-up, the subtle manipulations, and then this explosive, devastating climax. It's brilliant television, but it's so incredibly painful to watch. I feel like I need to go sit in a quiet room for a while just to recover from the emotional whiplash. I wonder what John Abbott would say if he were here right now. I often think about his ghost wandering those halls. Would he be angry with Jack, or would he just be heartbroken for his son? John always had such a capacity for forgiveness, but even he must be weeping at the sight of Diane Jenkins claiming his home as her own. The Abbott mansion was a symbol of elegance, of family loyalty, of honorable business. And now, it's a monument to deceit. It's a trophy for a con artist. It's just so fundamentally wrong on every conceivable level. And what about Diane's mindset? Does she feel even a twinge of guilt? Does she look at Jack's shattered face and feel any remorse for the man she claimed to love? I highly doubt it. I think Diane is a black hole. She just consumes and consumes, trying to fill an endless void inside herself. She thought taking Jack's money and his house would make her feel powerful, but I truly believe that eventually, she will realize that she is ruling over a kingdom of ashes. You cannot build a lasting legacy on a foundation of absolute betrayal. The karma will come for her, it has to. But until that day comes, we are left with this devastating reality. Jack Abbott, the golden boy of Genoa City, the eternal optimist, the man who always believed he could win, has been utterly defeated. He is a king without a castle, a patriarch without a family, a businessman without a dime. It's the end of an era. But perhaps, just perhaps, it's also the beginning of a resurrection. Because when you have lost absolutely everything, when you have hit the absolute rock bottom, the only direction left to go is up. I just keep picturing Jack standing on the sidewalk outside the mansion, looking up at those grand windows one last time before being forced to walk away. The sheer indignity of it all. It's an image that is going to haunt me for a very long time. I want to believe that he will fight back, that he will find a loophole, that Nikki's lawyers will tear Diane's contract to shreds. But right now, in this moment, the pain is just too raw, the wound is too fresh. We just have to sit in this grief with him and acknowledge the sheer devastation of what has occurred. This isn't just another corporate takeover. This is personal. This is the theft of a family's soul. And I, for one, will be watching every single second of the fallout, praying that Jack finds the strength to rise from these ashes. He has to, for John, for the Abbott name, he just has to. I find my thoughts drifting back to the exact wording of that prenup. You know, the kind of legal jargon that is designed to confuse, to obfuscate the true intent. Diane must have hired the most ruthless, morally bankrupt attorneys to draft that document. I can almost visualize the late nights she spent poring over the clauses, making sure that every single I was dotted and every T was crossed in a way that would leave Jack completely defenseless. She probably disguised the transfer of the mansion as some sort of mutual trust clause, or a protection measure against corporate liabilities. Jack, in his blind devotion, probably thought he was securing their future, when in reality, he was signing his own death warrant. It's terrifying, really, how easily the law can be weaponized by someone with a cold heart and a sharp mind. And let's talk about the timing, the absolute precision of Diane's strike. She waited until Jack was at his most vulnerable. She waited until the fake car crash had alienated him from the Newmans, until his public defense of her had driven a wedge between him and his siblings. She isolated him perfectly. It's textbook psychological warfare. She cut off all his support systems so that when the final blow landed, there would be no one left to catch him. Except, of course, she didn't count on Nikki. She didn't anticipate that Jack's absolute despair would drive him straight into the arms of her greatest rival. I think that's the one miscalculation Diane made. She underestimated the deep, complicated, enduring bond between Jack and Nikki. Diane looks at relationships as transactions, as power plays. She doesn't understand the kind of love that survives decades of betrayal, divorce, and heartbreak. Nikki and Jack have a shared history that Diane could never even hope to replicate. When Diane walked into that athletic club and saw them holding each other, I bet for a split second, behind that triumphant smirk, there was a flash of pure, unadulterated jealousy. Because she realized that even after stripping Jack of his wealth and his home, she still couldn't control his heart. It's fascinating, isn't it, the psychology of these characters? Nikki could have easily turned Jack away. She could have laughed in his face, told him I told you so, and walked out. After all, he publicly dragged her name through the mud during the whole stage car accident fiasco. He called her a murderer on television. Most people would hold a grudge for a lifetime over something like that. But Nikki saw past the words. She saw the manipulation. She knew that Jack was just a puppet dancing on Diane's strings. Her ability to forgive him in that moment, to offer him a shoulder to cry on, speaks volumes about her character. It shows a level of maturity and grace that Diane is entirely incapable of. I can't stop thinking about the physical space of the Abbott mansion. I know I mentioned it before, but it really is a character in its own right. Think about the living room, where the portrait of John Abbott hangs so proudly. Will Diane take it down? Will she replace it with a portrait of herself? The thought makes me physically ill. Imagine her walking through the gardens that Dina used to love, or sitting in the dining room where so many Thanksgiving dinners were shared. It's like a virus has infected the host. The house is going to feel so cold, so empty, so wrong with her living there. It won't be a home anymore. It will be a fortress of spite. And what about the staff? The people who have worked for the Abbotts for years, who love that family. Will Diane fire them all? Probably. She won't want anyone around who is loyal to Jack. She will want to surround herself with sycophants and mercenaries. The entire atmosphere of the estate is going to change overnight. From a place of warmth and legacy to a cold, sterile monument to one woman's ego. It's a tragedy on a micro and macro level. I keep trying to envision the legal battle that is inevitably going to follow. Nikki promised to use the Newman power, and we all know what that means. Victor Newman might despise Jack, but he despises Diane even more. And if Nikki asks for the Newman legal team to step in, Victor might just allow it, if only to see Diane crushed. Can you imagine the courtroom showdown? It would be the trial of the century in Genoa City. The Newmans and the Abbotts, for once, fighting on the same side against a common enemy. It would be glorious, but it would also be incredibly long and painful. Legal battles over prenuptial agreements are notoriously difficult. If Jack signed it willingly, without a gun to his head, proving fraud or coercion is going to be an uphill battle. Diane's lawyers will argue that Jack is a sophisticated businessman who knew exactly what he was signing. They will use his own reputation against him. A man of his stature doesn't sign contracts blindly, they will say. And it's true. Which is what makes his blindness so incredibly frustrating. He let his guard down with the one person he should have been most guarded against. I find myself feeling a profound sense of melancholy. It's like watching the sun set on a golden age. The Abbott family has been a pillar of this community for as long as any of us can remember. They have had their scandals, their fights, their downfalls. But they always had the mansion, they always had that anchor. Now, the anchor has been cut, and Jack is just drifting in a stormy sea. I genuinely worrying for his mental health, a loss of this magnitude. The betrayal, the financial ruin, the loss of his home. It's enough to break even the strongest of men. Will he turn back to his old vices? Will the pain be too much to bear sober? I pray that he stays strong. I pray that Nikki's support is enough to keep him grounded. Because if he spirals now, Diane truly wins. She wants him broken, she wants him to be a cautionary tale. He has to find the inner resolve to fight back, not just for the house, but for his own soul. He needs to remember who he is Jack Abbott, he is a survivor. Sometimes I wonder if Diane ever actually loved him, even for a fleeting moment. Or was this the plan from the very second she returned to Genoa City? When she first came back playing the reformed woman, reconnecting with Kyle, slowly worming her way back into Jack's good graces, was she already eyeing the mansion? Was she already calculating the exact timeline of his destruction? If so, she is a sociopath of the highest order. To fake love, to fake intimacy, to share a bed with a man while actively plotting to destroy his life. It requires a level of emotional detachment that is truly terrifying. And poor Kyle, oh my goodness, I haven't even really touched on how this is going to affect Kyle. His mother just destroyed his father. His mother just stole his inheritance, his childhood home. How does a son reconcile that? Kyle has spent so much time defending Diane, wanting so desperately to believe that his mother was a good person. This is going to shatter him. The collateral damage of Diane's vendetta is just staggering. She didn't just ruin Jack, she dropped a nuclear bomb on her entire family. I feel so drained even talking about it. It's an emotional roller coaster that only seems to go down. But as a fan, as an observer of this incredible, tragic human drama, I can't look away. I am captivated by the sheer audacity of the storytelling. The writers have taken Jack Abbott to the absolute lowest point of his entire life. And now, we get to see what he is truly made of. Will he crumble into dust, or will he forge himself into something harder, something sharper, something capable of taking Diane down? I want to see a ruthless Jack Abbott. I want to see the Jack who used to go toe-to-toe with Victor Newman and actually win. I want him to wipe away his tears, look at that eviction notice, and declare war. I want him to use every dirty trick, every hidden alliance, every ounce of his intellect to dismantle Diane's stolen empire piece by piece. I want her to wake up one day and realize that she didn't break him, she just woke up a sleeping giant. But for now, tonight, he is just a man without a home. A man who trusted the wrong woman and paid the ultimate price. Let's all just keep Jack in our thoughts. It's going to be a long, dark night for the Abbott family, and an even longer road back to the light. I will be here, watching every moment, analyzing every detail, and sharing all these heavy, complicated feelings with all of you, because in the end, that's what we do. We experience these stories together, the triumphs and the tragedies. I want to linger just a little bit longer on that exact moment at the club. The physical exchange of the eviction notice. I can almost hear the crisp, sharp sound of the heavy legal paper being thrust into Jack's hands. It's such a cold, sterile sound, completely at odds with the explosive emotional devastation it carries. I wonder if Jack's hands were shaking when he took it. He probably looked down at the dense paragraphs of legal text, the bold headings, the official seals, and felt his vision blur. It's one thing to be told you are losing everything. It is an entirely different, uniquely horrifying experience to hold the proof of your ruin in your own hands. And Diane's posture in that moment, she wouldn't have been defensive. She would have been standing incredibly tall, her shoulders back, radiating this toxic, triumphant energy. She probably wore something immaculate, something powerful, to visually assert her dominance over the broken man sitting before her. It's a masterclass in psychological cruelty. She didn't just want to take the house, she wanted to orchestrate a public execution of Jack's pride. She wanted Nikki to watch, she wanted the lawyers to witness it. She wanted the universe to know that Diane Jenkins had finally, definitively won. But what is a victory built on such profound deceit really worth? She has the mansion, yes, she has the title deeds and the keys. But she will never, ever have the respect that comes with the Abbott name. She can sleep in John Abbott's house, but she will always be an intruder. A thief in the night who managed to pick the lock through manipulation rather than earning her place. I truly believe that the walls of that mansion will reject her. The legacy of the Abbotts is woven into the very foundation, and Diane's presence is a temporary infection, not a permanent cure for her own deep-seated insecurities. As I sit here, letting all these thoughts swirl in my mind, I am just struck by the profound resilience of the human spirit. Jack is at the bottom of the abyss right now, staring up at a sky he can't even see. But Nikki's hand on his shoulder, her fierce promise to fight alongside him. That is the spark. It's a tiny, fragile spark in the overwhelming darkness, but it's enough to start a fire. And when that fire catches, when Jack finally processes his grief and allows it to transform into righteous fury, Diane Jenkins is going to realize that stealing the Abbott mansion was the biggest mistake of her miserable life. It's going to be a phenomenal journey to witness. The redemption of Jack Abbott, the fall of Diane Jenkins. The unlikely, powerful alliance between Jack and Nikki. The stakes have literally never been higher. We are talking about blood, legacy, history, and the very soul of Genoa City. I am exhausted just thinking about it, but I am also more invested than I have ever been. Let's brace ourselves, everyone. The war for the Abbott legacy has officially begun, and it is going to be absolutely legendary.